What's up, vlog watchers? Here we are for another webisode of my story, where I tell a made-up story about my life, and I'm so excited to get to my story today because part of my story is, part of my story is mental illness. Yes, and I hate that it's because it is my story, mental illness will be tied to this too, I guess. But I hate that it's looked at that way, but I love to learn, and I learn a lot. And, there's some things that my heart loves to learn about more than others. I won't ever love to learn about cars. It just won't stick in my mind. But I love to learn about the stars, and I love to learn about, learn a lot about astronomy, and I love to learn about religion. And as I've explained, I grew up kind of in a Southern Baptist Christian environment, and kind of what another hillbilly Christian environment, and then in non-Christian environment. And so I kind of grew up with all three of those. And then in my early 20s, I had a rejection of Christianity. I kind of had a falling away in my early teens, and then I had a moving back, and then I had the rejection. Like I had a falling away where I didn't feel that I was worthy because I was too much of a sinner and I'm living this sinful life. I'm just, I felt like I was young and it was my time to live this sinful life, which is just really dumb. And then I had a coming back, like a more, like coming to Jesus moment, coming back. And then I just had a complete rejection. It was just a rejection of it, and I was excited to not raise my children Christian. I remember that as I was moving from one state to the other state with my children. I was pregnant and my first daughter was a baby. I was excited to raise them not Christian. And then whenever we moved back to our home state, I ended up falling into Christianity really hardcore and wanting to raise them Christian, wanting to raise them in the church, wanting them to see their mom and dad in the church. And my husband was like, okay, he wasn't completely on board at first. And then, he had his reasons for not wanting to go to church. And, I had like a falling away. And while we were living at Deer Camp, I think that I told you guys this, I see, because I always had these episodes, these mental health episodes. Ended up in the mental hospital twice. I would have these mental health episodes, and I thought, I was possessed by demons. And I went to a ministry in North Carolina. This guy, he ran a ministry, and his wife, I worked with her. And she was casting the devils out of me, and she basically was like, it's not going to be any good. She's like, they're cast out, it's not going to be any good because they're going to come right back. She's like, you got to really get in your Bible and really, get right. And I was so motivated to really get right. This was after earning my Scarlet A. I was really wanting to atone for my sins. And then we have the time period right before moving out and moving into this hellish place where somebody called me a witch, and I just embraced it. And I was like really getting into witchcraft and reading witch books and really diving into that. And I learned a lot. I really learned a lot, and I learned about, paganism, and I decided during that time to celebrate the pagan religions instead of the Christian ones. And that's whenever I realized every single Christian holiday, every single Christian holiday is a pagan holiday, So I was trying to do it the pagan way, and I was kind of realizing, well, it's kind of the way that the Christians do it. And so it was kind of cool, because I know my poor children, but I went from a mom that was like, Christmas is all about Jesus and the birth of Jesus. And I mean, I would get out and read my Bible to them. And then I went to Christmas is about celebrating Yule and keeping the fire burning in your heart through the darkest seasons. And bless their hearts. And, and yeah, Istora, the sunrise Istora service, Easter, the morning Easter service, and you have your Istora ham. And yeah, I was learning about all this stuff and how, like, it was starting to click in my mind about how we view the Old Testament in a way where it's like sacrificing animals, what are they doing? But it's like the pagan religion, kind of like me learning about it, helped me to see why it's a religious ceremony around eating our meat. It's life for life, and this is not necessarily what I wanted to talk about, so I don't want to go too far. But yeah, there should be a religious ceremony around, especially if we're going to feed a community with meat. The sacrifice was made, and an understanding of a sacrifice that was made. And learning about the pagan religions really helped me to see that, and you get more in touch with Mother Nature, which is the animals, and it's the plants too. And yeah, it was a cool experience. But like I said, whenever I moved into that place, we were living, it's like called Spring Meadows, hell. Spring Meadows was hell. And, it was awful. And so, like I said in a previous webisode, in Spring Meadows, it was like we were experiencing all the plagues. And I know what's at the end of the plagues, and I don't even want to say it out loud, and I don't even want to talk about it. Although, people might say that God's bad for that. Why don't we look at what was actually happening too? Pharaoh was taking I want to say the Jew babies, they're not Jew, the Israelite babies, and making bricks with them. So there's a reason that God was that upset, but I still, vengeance would belong to God, not me. That's for sure. But anyway, so it scared me because there was a time whenever frogs invaded us, the locusts invaded us, wasps invaded, which wasn't on the list. Our water turned black. It was like black water. We had to get our well fixed. And yeah, I repented. I was like, paganism is not the way. I repent. I will find the true way, like I've got, I repent. And I took all my witchcraft stuff outside and I burned it in the front yard. I was like, to show God, like I read my Bible over and 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 over again. And like, I know my Bible, and you could still read it again, but all books are that way because it's the living word. And so yeah, I went and burnt all my Bibles, and I went to see, because I asked my husband, once again, this other ministry, and it was like hardcore Christianity is what it was called. And I asked my husband if I could go to this ministry. And around this time too, it was around the same time that my therapist was telling me, you're no longer BPD, your DBT therapy has come a long way, and your CPTSD. and we're gonna start working with that. And it made me so angry because I don't know, I had to hang on to that label with everything I got, like. And so whenever I quit my therapy and I went to Arizona, and I told this guy that, I'm BPD and it's a BPD demon and I need it cast out of me. And we worked on this stuff, and he also made it seem like, it's an almost impossible case with me. Had to really, like, he's like, you're gonna have to really study, you have to put a lot of work into this. And yeah, we tried to cast him out and it didn't seem to work, but he had to move on. He can't work with the unworkable forever kind of thing. And which I don't blame him, whatever. I love him, and I understand we weren't. But I ended up going home, and I'm literally, you guys, I'm like on my bed having like a severe meltdown episode, just crying out to God and trying to cast these demons out of myself. Like, trying to cast the demons out of myself. And yeah, I'm just like, Jesus, I know that you're alive. I know that you're there. Like, can't we do it? Just me and you. We can cast these demons out. Let's get them out. Oh, it was insane. It was insane. But I was developing my own relationship with Spirit and with God, and I was learning to really trust Spirit because I felt like I had no choice. Like, everybody else in the world has a choice, but I don't have a choice. I must walk that narrow road that is the Bible, or these intense demons are going to come right back. Because what did Jesus say? You sweep the house clean and then they come back with their buddies. And I was like, every time I cast demons out, I get worse demons. Like, it felt like that. Like, there was this never ending loop with that. And so I had to walk that narrow line, and I had to find it. And I was just like talking to God and Jesus every single day and being directed by Spirit and by God, and making a lot of mistakes because misinterpreting God, and learning more about God as I misinterpreted him and found out that I misinterpreted him. And so I started listening to Spirit, and that meant doing things that didn't make sense to others. Because if I'm just walking and Spirit says turn around and walk the other way, that I've got to turn around and walk the other way, because I'm developing and learning trust with Spirit. And one thing Spirit wanted me to do is work on my physical well-being and my physical health, and to exercise more. And so at Spring Meadows, it was a loop, so I would walk the loop. It was a pretty large loop, I'd walk the loop a couple times. And my kids, sometimes they would go with me, and sometimes, because it inspired them to want to go. Sometimes I would walk the loop earlier that day, and then while they are at school, and then whenever they're off school, they would want to walk the loop, and I would let them. And yeah, some people had moved in down the street, and these people, I want to put a disclaimer here first before I tell this story. I don't even know if I'm going to even say what type of dog this was. I love dogs, and my family loves dogs. We raise dogs, and we think that the dog's not bad, but the owner could be. And it's not the dog that is vicious. It's the dog that learns to be vicious. The dog isn't just vicious. I don't believe that. In my heart of hearts, I don't believe that dogs are automatically vicious, and I think that they learn to be vicious. And I was raised in the South, and in the South, we're taught that, the animals fear you more than them, and they're lashing out in fear, and if you understand that fear, and you don't show the fear, like if you show more fear, then they're gonna lash out more. So you can't show fear, and I've always been taught that since I was a little girl. It's never really come in handy with me because it's like I walked into a lion cage. It's like animals are subdued around me, and I love animals, and I love dogs, and so does my children, and I didn't understand the truth of a vicious dog. Should have, but I didn't. And these people moved in down the road, and they had 3 dogs, but 2 were always out, and 1 was always put up. One that was put up was a female, and the 2 that were out were males. We didn't know these 2 females. We never really saw them at home, but these 2 male dogs is what we knew. And whenever I was going around the loop, they would always meet me at the edge of their property, and they would walk with me on the road all the way to the other end of their property. I would pet them, and they would be like cool, and they were nice. They were good boys. They were good boys. That's how most dogs are. They're good boys. Well, and my children would too. They would walk the loop, and they would pet them, and they would be all good. Like they grew up with good boy dogs. So well, one day I was gonna go on my walk, and I just was tired, and I didn't feel like it. I guess I was being kind of lazy. I got my chores done, and I was like, I'm not gonna go on my walk today. Spirit told me, it's like, get up and go on your walk. Okay. I have a Chihuahua too, so usually, like, whenever I got to the fence, right before I get to the fence, I'd pick her up and, walk with the boys and then go. So I'm just walking like normal, and I'm about to get to the fence, and I pick her up, and I look, and their fence is open, and their door is open, and there is a vicious female dog, and she locks eyes with me and sees me, and she runs out, like gonna attack me. And she ran because I didn't even get to where the boys were still standing there, and she ran past that point to me, and I held out my hand because I knew not to be afraid. This was a dog that was coming at me. I held out my hand. I had my dog too, and then the boys got on each side, and they were literally nipping my thighs, and she's like rah 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 right here, and I've got to keep her under control, and they're nipping my thighs, and I'm like, okay, and I noticed that I kind of tripped, and I couldn't hold on to my dog anymore. I had to let her go. She ran into the woods, and the boys kind of followed her for a minute, and I ran sideways to my neighbor's house. Like I'm running across my neighbor's lawn sideways, and my dog is running that way into the woods. And then the boys, like, because she's still coming right at me, and they come back towards me because I was running a little bit. And I knew not to turn my back and run because I knew that they would actually grab me. I just knew, I had to keep her facing her, and I had to hold my own. I didn't bark at her. I stayed so cool and calm, and I just, inched my way to his house, and I knocked on the door, and he let me in. They were all around me, and I got in with the screen door and shut it right there. I was like, oh my God. And then they backed off, and my dog was able to walk around and come, and I let her in, and I was like, yay. I was so happy because I was so scared something would happen to her. I was like, please. Oh, it was so scary, you guys. And then when they because the dogs, they went back to their place, and then the other neighbor she came over there and she knocked on the door and she's like, I saw all that. I saw all that. And she has kids too. And she was like, I called the police because I thought that you were going to be a goner. Because it was quite it wasn't a small little yard, guys. We live in the country south, and it was quite a bit that I had to walk. And she was like, so I called 911, and she said, I'm going to be a witness, and I hope that you tell them. And I was like, yeah, I got bit. Yeah, I got nips. I had nips on my thighs that I had to hold my own while I felt like I was going to fall over. I'm not a tough person. But I'm so glad the Spirit told me to go, guys, because if I wouldn't have went, my kids, they came home and was like, we want to go on our walk. And I was like, you can't, not today. If I wouldn't have went, I would have told them to go. And that's crazy. And it's experiences like that develop your trust in Spirit. And that really solidifies it. The small experiences develop it. And then the big ones solidify. It solidifies that trust. Because I think that my oldest daughter maybe could have held her own, but probably not with the other two. They would have freaked out. And I don't think that she would have been able to handle if one of those dogs would have. So that's crazy. And we were at that point, we were going to be moving out soon. And after we moved out, and it's crazy because now I'm more shaky around dogs. Before I was so sure that dogs were good boys. But now I understand the viciousness of a dog can be real. I know that the only thing that helped me survive that was my lack of fear, my ability to stand strong. Because those same dogs also attacked a man and put him in the hospital right after that incident with me and them. And then a boy. But it can be real, and I do stand by it's the owners. But it can be real. And that's scary. I don't know. So, there you go. Another piece of my story, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching today. I talked about some heavy stuff here. I know I talked about some heavy stuff in a lot of these, and for me, it's just, that's life, right? Isn't that life? Don't we all have a heavy life? It's not easy. We do the best we can, right? We try to make the best out of it, which is possible. So that makes me happy, and I hope that I can end this with a little bit of ray of sunshine for you guys, because we can make the best out of even sad situations. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for my relationship with God and my relationship with Jesus, because I know that they helped save my children's life that day. I know in my heart of hearts. You can't convince me otherwise. So when people say God isn't real, I smile and say, maybe not to you, but to me, it's real. So Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of my story and for listening today. Hope that you enjoyed it. As always, be blessed with love. That's all. Wait a minute. No, that's not all she got. She got a little bit to say just here at the end. So hold on, folks. I just want to say really, really quick, I've got an exciting opportunity to share with you. As a student and a content creator, I pour my heart and my soul into each and every video. And I absolutely love bringing you all along on my crazy adventures. But you know, creating quality content requires a lot of time, effort, and resources. But that's where you can come in. If you enjoy my videos and want to share your support, I've set up a few ways for you to contribute and become an even more integral part of the Mystic Hillbilly community. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me to continue doing what I love most. First of all, I have a few donation options available to you. If you'd like to make a one-time contribution, you can find the links to my Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal in the video descriptions. And every single donation, no matter how big or small, truly makes a difference and allows me to create even more exciting content for you all. But wait, there's more. I'm thrilled to introduce to you my Patreon membership, where for only $5.55 a month, you can gain access to exclusive behind-the-scenes content and outtakes from all my videos. As a Patreon supporter, you'll get to see all the edits and behind-the-scenes bloopers that didn't make it in the final cut. It's like having a VIP pass to the Mystic Hillbilly editing room. This is really something special for all my haters out there. As a member, you'll gain access to hours of footage of me making mistakes, doing everything wrong, and just having an all-around hilarious time. So, haters, if you ever want to see me in my most human, this is your golden opportunity. So, whether you choose to become a member or make a donation, know that your support is deeply appreciated. I genuinely thank each and every one of you for being a part of this amazing journey with me. Your positive energy and contributions mean everything to me. Before I go, I just want to take a moment to say that I pray that every blessing sent my way is multiplied and returned to the sender tenfold. May success find their way into your lives as you've brought them into mine. Thank you all so much for your support, and until next time, stay adventurous, stay curious, and always remember to keep the mystic in you alive. And now, that's all she got.